This week on ATV News, President Trump banned several news outlets from a press briefing, NASA discovers 7 new planets, and AU students enjoy unusually warm weather on the quad. I'm Mariah Espada.
And I'm Katie Malone.
ATV News starts now. The infamous allegations of Bill Cosby's sexual assault scandal continues. A Pennsylvania judge ruled on Friday that only one of the 13 women prosecutors that hope to testify at the trial can take a stand. The defense had fought hard to keep all the women out of the case, but the judge decided the jury would only hear from the woman referred to as prior alleged victim 6. She is the woman that said Cosby gave her a pill and wine and molested her while she was incapacitated during a visit to his bungalow in 1996. She will be represented by high-profile attorney Gloria Allred, who said in a statement that she's, quote, glad at least one such witness will be able to testify in this case. The comedian is set to stand trial this summer on these allegations.
D.C. is anticipating a new police chief appointed by Mayor Bowser to be confirmed by the D.C. Council. The Prospect Police Chief, Peter Newsham, was selected from the mayor's staff's list of over 100 potential applicants. The mayor herself commented on Newsham's transparency and availability, reiterating that the D.C. Police Department is here for the people. Newsham has been on the police force for close to 28 years, and the department hopes to maintain community trust while strengthening the fight against crime. The D.C. Council will hold hearings before the vote, but the confirmation is expected to pass. For the latest in entertainment news, let's go to Alexis Arnold.
Thanks, Katie. I'm Alexis Arnold with this week's entertainment news. The 89th Academy Awards are this weekend and the competition is fierce. La La Land has 12 nominations, including Best Picture, but considering that 7 of Moonlight's 8 nominations are in overlapping categories, it doesn't look like La La Land will be able to clean up so easily. Other nominees for Best Picture include Arrival, Fences, Hacksaw Ridge, Hell or High Water, Hidden Figures, Lion, and Manchester by the Sea. In response to last year's protests, it seems that the Oscars are showing the world that they aren't #SoWhite anymore. For the first time in Oscar history, 7 actors of color are nominated across all 4 acting categories, including 1 or more black nominees in each category. Speaking of black films, the first movie from sketch comedian turned director Jordan Peele hits theaters this weekend. Get Out is an edgy new suspense thriller about a white family's first meeting with their daughter's black boyfriend. The family's overly accommodating nature isn't just a cultural difference, it's also a cover-up for a gruesome secret. Although Peele is better known for his work on Comedy Central, he shows that he truly has an eye for captivating storytelling. His winning mix of comedy, social commentary, and killer suspense earned Get Out a coveted 100% approval rating on RottenTomatoes.com. Its top critics call this movie certified fresh. Beyoncé dropped another bombshell this week when she announced that she will no longer perform at Coachella. Unfortunately, her scheduled performance is too close to her due date for her to safely perform, so her doctor said no. But she promised that she will perform in 2018. Festival organizers are looking for a replacement for Queen Bey. I'm Alexis Arnold with this week's entertainment news. Let's return to Mariah and Katie in the studio.
Thanks, Alexis. So, Mariah, what are your big Oscars plans this year?
I don't know about you, Katie, but I have some pretty big plans. Me and some friends are going to come over and we're going to watch the Oscars, and it's always a time where my little fashionista self comes out because I love to see the red carpet moments.
You're going to rate all the outfits, like best to worst, the
Absolutely.
fashion police.
Of
Mariah
course.
is the fashion police.
The new
You heard
fashion
it here
police.
first.
Transgender celeb Caitlyn Jenner had a lot to say to President Trump this past week after his administration reversed Obama's transgender bathroom policy. Jenner caught a lot of flack in past years from gender-inclusive liberals for sticking to her conservative Republican views while trying to maintain her role as a transgender icon. In fact, Jenner was vocally supportive of both Ted Cruz and Donald Trump through last year's campaign, and even reportedly tried to convince her stepdaughter, Kim Kardashian, to vote for Trump over Hillary Clinton. Now, Trump's administration overturned Obama's decision to ensure schools to secure bathroom and locker room access to transgender students in schools. In a video uploaded on Jenner's Twitter account, Jenner vocalized her disbelief and distaste for the president's decision. She closed by asking Trump to give her a call. Now let's go to politics with Liz Holmes.
Thanks, Mariah. I'm Liz Holmes with This Week in Politics. The Department of Homeland Security is cracking down on illegal immigration. This week, the department published guidelines for implementing President Trump's executive order. These guidelines have made it easier to deport people who cannot prove that they've been living in the United States for 2 years. There is a new National Security Advisor, Lieutenant General H.R. McMaster. He was nominated after former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn was fired from his job after sources revealed he was having private conversations with a Russian diplomat. McMaster is a decorated commander who is known by his colleagues as a thoughtful soldier. Milo Yiannopoulos, spokesperson for the alt-right, resigned Breitbart News last Tuesday after a scandalous video of him was published online. Yiannopoulos is known for his sexist and racist rhetoric that has infiltrated mainstream conservatism because of his charismatic nature. A young Canadian teen decided to send an interview she remembered hearing on the radio to conservative news stations. In the interview, Yiannopoulos defends gay pedophilia. As a result, he lost his book deal and invitation to speak at the 2017 Conservative Political Action Conference. That's This Week in Politics. For ATV News, I'm Liz Holmes. Back to Mariah and Katie at the desk.
Thanks, Liz. Katie, I don't know about you, but it's crazy to hear about Homeland Security, especially being right across the street from AU campus. I mean, we really are in the heart of it all.
I think, AU gives us the opportunity to see it all unfold before our very eyes. We hear Trump escorts going down the street. The news is happening all around us, and that's such a great opportunity to really be in the thick of it all.
Absolutely.
Definitely. This week, the UN declared that South Sudan is officially experiencing famine. The famine is a result of the civil war the country has been fighting for 3 years, a war that has taken a toll on the country's economy and killed tens of thousands of people. Other African nations, including Somalia, Yemen, and Nigeria, are also at risk for famine, according to the UN.
Now we go to sports with Kate Ivey.
Thanks, Mariah. I'm Kate Ivey, and here's what's happening in sports. Ben Simmons, a rookie for the NBA team, the 76ers, is heartbroken after hearing that he will be out for the rest of the season. Simmons broke his right foot and has been waiting for it to heal. However, tests show his foot has not fully healed. The general manager for the 76ers, Brian Colangelo, says that the #1 draft pick, quote, wants to play. Hopefully we will see Simmons on the court next season. Professional golfer Adam Scott has his eye on the Masters this year. After winning the Masters in 2013, Scott held the #1 spot in 2014. Dustin Johnson currently holds that title after winning the Genesis Open last week. Scott stated, quote, I need about 6 months to get there. It's been fairly competitive, end quote. Scott is not ready to step down from golf just yet. He is expecting a child later this year and is still pushing to get back to the top. Moving to the NHL, the Boston Bruins beat the Los Angeles Kings 4-1 on Thursday, February 23rd. Bruins goaltender Anton Khudobin made 27 saves, and his fellow teammates Dominique Moore and David Krejci scored 2 empty netters. The coach for the Bruins, Bruce Cassidy, thinks the Bruins are leaving the Golden State in great shape. American University's men's swim team finished 9th in the Patriot League. Julian Wayner placed 10th, and Garrett Suter finished 12th in the 1600 freestyle. Matt Callender finished 11th in the 200 butterfly with a time of 1 minute and 52 seconds. The Eagles locked in 14 points to finish the competition. For sports, I'm Kate Ivey. Back to Mariah and Katie in the studio.
Thanks, Kate. Now, I'm not super into sports, but have you gone to any games yet?
I actually have. I've been to a couple of the basketball ones, which is really cool, but the games are pretty good here.
I heard we have good volleyball and interesting basketball.
Yeah, we definitely have to get the spirit up at AU, so we encourage everyone to go out to the games.
Go out to the games, yeah.
Beloved actor Denzel Washington could possibly be making history this upcoming Oscar Sunday. Washington currently has a Best Actor nomination for his performance in the film Fences. In the case that he does take the Golden Award home, he would have more Oscars under his belt than any other African-American actor ever. At this point, he's already the most nominated, with a whopping 7th nomination this year. Washington, however, is against some major competition, as acclaimed actor Casey Affleck is also nominated in the category for his gut-wrenching turn in Manchester by the Sea. What is certain is that the Oscars will be a historic night in Hollywood.
DC public schools have announced a plan to add computer electives, algebra, lacrosse, archery, and coding clubs to the district's middle schools. This initiative makes up close to $6 million of the organization's 2018 budget. This should come as no surprise considering Mayor Bowser's long focus on enhancing the school system, specifically middle schools. She hopes to see these programs help more students succeed, especially post-high school.
For this week's Finance Report, we turn to Fatima Munshi.
Thanks, Mariah. I'm Fatima Munshi with this week's Finance Report. It's been over 3 years since Colorado Amendment 64 legalized the use and possession of marijuana for adults ages 21 and above. According to surveys, 61% of voters support the law and 51% believe it improved the state economy. Colorado Governor John Hickenlooper, who once ardently opposed the law, is now defending it against a potential White House reversal. Press Secretary Sean Spicer stated he expects the Justice Department to enforce federal law on states like Colorado, where state and federal laws are at odds. Will President Trump, who promised to bring jobs into U.S. soil, uproot a policy that has turned into a $6 billion industry and is predicted to be at $50 billion as early as 2026? As public criticism of the proposal continues, the administration goes back and forth on whether or not they will impose on state rights. And now news on immigration, an ethical and economic dilemma in the United States. How is President Trump's deportation plan going to affect the market? There are about 11.1 million undocumented immigrants living in the United States, a number that is expected to lower in the coming years. This has led to a noticeable decrease in the labor force of industries such as farming, construction, and factories. Reports indicate that farms are about 50% short of the workforce they need, causing grape and almond planting to be scaled back. The appeal in hiring undocumented immigrants is paying lower wages, which leads to low sales prices and a decrease in imported goods. Some economists predict that getting rid of undocumented immigrants will place Mexico in a position to compete with the U.S. in leading fruit and vegetable exports. That's it for finance. Back to Katie and Mariah at the desk.
Thanks, Fatima. It's really interesting when we think about this idea of marijuana and how it's involved in this financial discussion.
Yeah, I think the legalization of marijuana is really controversial, but no one can deny how good it is for business in the district. People are buying more. If you put a tax on it, more money for the government and things like that. So we'll have to see how it plays out.
Yeah, it's definitely important to sort of figure out your opinion on it.
Yeah, definitely.
So now let's see what's happening around the world with Max Abokoko.
Thanks, Mariah. I'm Max Abokoko. This week in world news, we turn to Syria, where last week a car bomb killed over 60 people and injured several others in the recently captured town of Al-Bab. The radical Islamic terrorist group ISIS claimed responsibility online soon after the attack. 33 of the 60 killed have been identified. However, much of the destruction still lies in the local infrastructure and several dozen wounded left in the attack. Turkish officials who maintain control in that region have assured in a statement that order has been regained. In a press conference issued by NASA on Wednesday, astronomers claim to have found 7 Earth-sized planets in a nearby solar system, a mere 40 light-years away. The planets orbit what is known as a dwarf star, a star much less powerful and smaller in size than our Sun. 3 of these planets are identified as being within the habitable zone, a zone which scientists refer to as the Goldilocks zone, due to the fact that it is exactly the right distance away from our Sun to potentially harbor life like our own Earth. In other news, China has received criticism from the U.S. and other nations for its establishment and building of artificial islands in the South China Sea, in an attempt to gain control of waters unilaterally shared by all nations within the sea's grasp. China has built these islands and claimed them as territory in the attempts to extend their oceanic borders, which in a document established by the UN permits that nations receive rights to resources in waters 200 miles offshore. Oceans that are not within these regions are considered international waters. These actions taken by China have upset nations in the region and the U.S. as they infringe on territory that countries claim as their own and is seen as an aggressive action by the U.S. That's it for World News. Back to Mariah and Katie in the studio.
Thanks, Max. Speaking of world news, how do you feel about discovering other worlds?
It's absolutely absurd, Katie. I know last week we talked about Zealandia, which is another crazy thing. We had another continent, and now we're talking about other worlds. I mean, these textbooks are definitely going to have to start updating themselves.
Yeah, we're pretty behind already with last week's news, this week's news. I'm ready for space exploration.
Absolutely.
These unusually high temperatures have made it easy for students to get out this February, but this weather is also quite literally breaking records. Confused cherry blossoms are blooming as temperatures soar through the 70s, and if this continues, DC is on track to tie with 2 other years for the longest streak of 70-degree weather during this month. The 1976 record for warmest February in DC is also at risk, as this month is set to average about half a degree more than the current record. Now for our weather report, we go to Corey Flax.
Thanks, Katie. I'm Corey Flax with today's weather report. Puxatawny fell clearly miscalculated on Groundhog Day, as it seems as if spring has come early this year. The quad was packed this week, with weather reaching the mid-70s. As for this upcoming week, the weather is going to be a bit cooler than this past week, but still significantly warmer than what the greater Washington area usually sees in late February. On Monday, we're going to see mostly cloudy skies during the morning hours. The temperature will peak at 59 degrees and will reach a low of 47 degrees. On Tuesday, we're going to see a high of 68 and a low of 55. There's a small chance of seeing some rain showers during the day. On Wednesday, we're going to get a high of 70. Despite this, I would not recommend playing any pickup basketball outside as there is an 80% chance of thunderstorms. As for the end of the school week, I would recommend sweaters on your internship commutes. On Thursday, we're going to see a high of 54 and a low of 35, with winds reaching 20 miles per hour. On Friday, the winds are going to continue at 25 miles per hour, and the high is going to drop to 48, and the low is also going to drop to 31. That's it for weather. I'm Corey Flax. Back to Mariah and Katie at the desk.
Thanks, Corey. Katie, I have never seen so many people sport flip-flops and shorts and hang out on the quad before.
Especially in February, but hopefully this cool down gives students a chance to head back to the lib and study up for their midterms.
Yeah, I know those midterms are coming up, so hopefully the weather helps with that.
Yeah.
Just when you thought Trump's administration couldn't be any more anti-media, this happens. This past week, the White House blocked several major news organizations from attending an informal, off-camera briefing Friday in White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer's office. Some of the foreign press and platforms, like the New York Times, Politico, the Los Angeles Times, and BuzzFeed, were amongst the few that were not allowed into Spicer's room. The outlets that were present, however, were conservative ones including Breitbart, the Washington Times, and One American News Network. Other networks like NBC, ABC, CBS, and Fox were also included. Reporters from the Associated Press and Time ended up boycotting the press gaggle in protest of their exclusion. What's the president have to say about all of this? In a speech he gave to CPAC on Friday, he spoke of the First Amendment and how it gives him the right to criticize fake news. For the latest in campus news, we turn to Emily Lytle and Moal CD.
Thanks, Mariah. I'm Emily Lytle.
And I'm Moal CD. And this is
What's Up, AU? Athletics, and maybe even life, is about training for those untrainable moments. For one runner on the AU track team, that couldn't be more true. Junior Liam Purdy finished first in the 800-meter race at Sunday's Patriot League Championship, with one shoe, that is. Purdy's heel popped out of the shoe when another runner stepped on the back of it. At that point, he flung his foot forward and ditched the shoe. He didn't let that deter him. He raced in front of the Boston University lead runner. In the end, Purdy came out on top and set a new personal record, the third fastest time in AU history.
The Metropolitan Police Department reports that there's been at least 7 robberies near AU since the beginning of the semester. The most recent robbery occurred just this Saturday on Brandywine Street. AU Public Safety sent out an email informing students of the robberies and emphasized that none have taken place on campus. The email included safety tips such as making sure to walk in groups and avoid displaying valuable items.
Fake news is becoming a household term across campuses and communities alike. So, the Public Communication Division in SOC is hosting an expert fake news panel on Monday from 12:55 to 2:10. The panel will address the problem of fake news and how it will continue to affect the field of communication. You can join the conversation at the Doyle Foreman Theater in the McKinley Building.
But the conversations don't end there. Professor and author Tanya Golesh-Boza is at AU this Friday for the event Mass Deportation, Disposable Labor, and Global Capitalism. Golesh-Boza will be sharing stories from over 147 immigrant interviews from Guatemala to the Dominican Republic to Jamaica. The event will take place in MGC Room 5 from 9:45 to 11 a.m. That's it for What's Up AU. I'm Moal CD.
And I'm Emily Lytle. Back to Mariah and Katie at the desk.
Thanks, Emily and Moal. Katie, it's crazy to hear about these burglaries that are going on around campus. I mean, I know I heard about it, and I got the email as well, and I was pretty scared, I'm not going to lie.
I think we all have to be extra cautious walking around campus this upcoming week. Be sure you're with a friend. Be sure you have your phone in case something happens.
Absolutely.
Public safety has been giving great advice following this.
Absolutely. Remember, we do have public safety.
They're always on our side. That's it for ATV News this week. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. I'm Katie Malone.
And I'm Mariah Spada. Thanks for watching.